Hello and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'll be your moderator, Brandon Jones. Joining me this week, panelists Michael Damiani.
How's it going?
Ben Moore.
Pow!
My 208 miles per hour co-moderator, Daniel Bloodworth.
Hey.
Nice.
Crushed it.
We've got a hat sandwich over here.
You got a hat sandwich?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I
nice.
thought you said a half sandwich, and I was like, blood?
Oh, we got a full sandwich.
Yeah.
And the meat.
Making it all happen in the control room. Isla Hank.
I went to a restaurant called Tartine and ordered a turkey club, and they gave me what turned out to be a double closed-faced tartine, because it was just a sandwich.
Okay.
And I was like, why'd you call this place Tartine? Anyway, hi.
Hi. Distinguished guests, we're here to talk about some of the biggest headlines in the world of video games. But before we do that, we first have to answer for all the mistakes we made last week. Isla, begin corrections music, please. Some clarification, some nerdy clarification around, quote, detecting invisible objects from Umbra, because we talked about middleware
sure.
services. Umbra is a middleware for geometry culling. It detects what geometry is visible from the camera so that the 3D engine doesn't have to render stuff that is either outside of the camera view or hidden behind other geometry. So not wrong, just more specific.
Calling is very important.
Cool.
Is it the Kanto Rapidash or the Galarian Rapidash? I'd imagine the Kanto Rapidash,
Oh.
right?
When you were asking about the
I
horse.
would imagine Kanto. I would.
Rapidash is taking over for Gandalf's horse.
We're
in,
not. We're
Two
not
Towers.
all that familiar with the
Right,
Galarian
yeah, I
version,
figured.
It's
so.
long Shadowfax.
Uh,
God damn it.
and this
Oh,
one's...
that was a thing. Did you get that?
Did I get what?
Shadowfax.
Yeah.
People took issue with saying Gandalf's horse.
Right. Oh boy.
Why?
I'm sorry, I
Because
didn't see that
Shadowfax
coming.
is like an ancient
It's because-
entity of its own right?
Well, because it has a name and
Right.
it comes from a very strong lineage and all that. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, did we not actually ever say Shadowfax?
Right.
Oh, jeez.
We just know it so well. We just thought we did.
Right.
Yeah, it goes without saying.
And the sponsor section had the wrong products listed at the bottom. That one is totally on me. Although first time I believe I've done that.
Okay.
Even not since moderating, since cutting these guys' podcasts. I don't know how many times I put those wrong text in there. Always looking for new ways to mess up this job. And corrections music, please. And then,
Boop.
oh, jeez.
Sorry, I was thinking. I was
Like-
thinking about how like we're
I
gonna
can't hear
have to
myself
do.
think.
We're gonna have to do make goods and stuff because of that.
The corrections music. I'm gonna have to do those make goods. All right.
We all have to sit through them.
It's true. Speaking of casting things in movies, Rapidash doing work. We have two other roles that we need to fill this week from movies that are in trouble. This first one hasn't been made yet. This is actually one sometimes we just adjust history. We
Okay.
actually need to step in right now because Jurassic World Dominion is in trouble. Chris Pratt has left due to creative differences or just being booked and everything
This
else.
is not a
I see
completely
where this is
unbelievable
going.
Yeah.
headline,
Right.
by the way.
That's perfect.
He's too busy
I
being
already know the
Garfield
answer
and
to
Mario.
this.
Please tell me Mario.
Please tell me more.
I mean, now we'd make it all the way to the end. We're going to fill in potentially with three people. One, Regina. Anyone? Regina?
Yeah, that
Which
sounds super
Regina?
familiar.
Regina and dinosaurs.
Oh.
Oh,
Dino
Dino
Crisis?
Crisis, of
Yes.
course.
Yeah.
Of course,
Regina,
of course, of course.
Turok,
Okay.
Uh-huh.
or Mario.
It's got-
Mario.
That's
gotta be
Mario.
It's absolutely
That is
Mario.
like,
yeah.
come on.
That's good.
There we go. Just got to throw the hat and solved. He's gonna fix a whole Dominion problem real
Gina
quick.
would be great, but yeah.
From Scotty
Regina
the
would be
It's too
great
easy.
in a brand new Dino Crisis game, which you should totally make happen.
Here, here.
From Scotty the Wonder Dog, Alice Krieg, shout out, was set to play the role of the Borg Queen in Star Trek First Contact, but had to drop out for undisclosed reasons. Are we
Borg
replacing her with Sarah Kerrigan from StarCraft?
Ooh.
GLaDOS from Portal? Or Mother Brain from Metroid?
I just want to see GLaDOS' interactions with like Data. It's like
It's
the
like-
troll monster and Data like can't handle it. It's just like so matter of fact is like I don't understand your query. He's like this GLaDOS going off. I was like that'd be great.
So the thing about the Borg is they're very emotionless. Like
Right.
they're this collective, and what makes them so terrifying is like how cold they are. And I think of Kerrigan, and she's really filled with vengeance and anger, and like a lot of emotion is driving her goals. And so I think out of those three, I think Mother Brain would make the most sense. Maybe not necessarily the best choice, but I
Yeah.
think would make the most sense.
But that's what was freaky about the Borg Queen is that she
Yeah.
was an embodiment and a singular, and they hadn't done that before. So it is interesting that it's like one person.
She's also like a little sexy, so I like Mother Brain coming on to
Yeah.
Data. It's good.
Yeah,
Mother
she-
Brain kind of winking at Picard.
I'd watch that.
She's very manipulative. So
All right.
yeah.
Lock it in. As far as gaming news is concerned, We have some interesting announcements, some interesting press tactics. Some games that we found out about, some big things happening right now with games, some rights movements and stuff like that. And I'm curious how we all feel. In
Mark
terms of
Hamill talking about SteamWorld.
Did Mark Hamill talk about SteamWorld? I know Mark
he
Hamill did. Oh, that's right, because he did that event.
Yeah.
Correct. And he also announced some other games. I'm seeing Mark Hamill's name attached to multiple games.
Mark Hamill can announce all the games he wants.
This is the Thunderful Showcase. Shout out to Togs and White Shadows and Gunk, which are also at the event. But SteamWorld Headhunter was primarily the thing, I think, from this event that stood out.
The new announcement, yeah.
Well, not only a new announcement of a new game, but here, this is a company and a podcast that likes the SteamWorld franchise. And this is a franchise that every time it shows up does something that we were not expecting, does something, even SteamWorld Dig 2 was, I felt, different enough from SteamWorld Dig 1.
Yeah, it's a very different game, yeah.
Knowing how much this developer likes to strike out and do unusual things, was this on par for them, or was this still unusual based on what we've seen so far of Headhunter, which is very little?
Yeah, well, I think just bringing that into 3D, is going to be interesting to see. Like Gunk, I think, has some kind of SteamWorld connection. It feels like, but this one, I think they even said it's like right after the events of 2. So it's going to be very
The
interesting.
earth-shattering events of SteamWorld Dig 2.
And
Indeed.
you actually play as the head, right? Like that's kind of the thing they showed. Like the little head has like a little spider legs on the bottom of it. So
That was my assumption, yeah.
There's a duel. You are beheaded, or one character is, and then comes back later as the head.
yeah. So I'm very curious, like what kind of mechanics that's going to, involve.
Ben, it's a stylized and colorful third person co-op action adventure.
Co-op. I thought it was co-op. Yeah.
And this has definitely happened before. In fighting games, I see this happen sometimes where like they'll go from 2D to 3D. And I can see a lot of fans, like people are familiar with the style. They're just like, oh no, please never do this. Just retain the style. Is it common to be nervous about a developer that's only done 2D stuff branching out into a whole nother dimension?
No, I think, as you alluded to before, this developer does, I think, something that we criticize a lot of other franchises for not doing, which is really, truly trying something new. And I have endless respect for that. And, I like SteamWorld Dig 1, especially SteamWorld Dig 2 so much that, like, I am at the very least interested no matter what. But kind of the opposite side of that is sometimes when you strike out, because you are so different, because you are so diverse, sometimes it just doesn't always resonate in the same way. Like the SteamWorld Quest. I was like, oh, this is really cool, and I love RPGs. And then I played it, and I was like, I don't want to play any more of this. And it wasn't like I hated it or I thought it was terrible. Right. It just didn't resonate with me in the same way.
Yeah, I had the same kind of feeling where like I wanted to play that game, but it sort of bounced off of it.
The pace of that was a little slow.
Yeah.
And this is co-op action adventure. It just seems so different from a lot of the other stuff that they do. I wonder if this is where the SteamWorld franchise kind of naturally moved for them, or if this was always in the back of their mind, that like we know we can do this. It would be fun to do this.
Yeah. Well, and then like what is the twist with the head popping off? Because I feel like, to me, it feels like you're gonna plug that head into all kinds of different things. It's like you're gonna go.
Over.
Yeah, you're gonna pop off and you're gonna like drive a bulldozer. You're gonna pop off. You're gonna drive some mechanical dinosaur. You're gonna pop off. Whatever it might be there. So
Yeah, that would be cool. I was thinking maybe because like the co-op part of it, like maybe someone controls the body while the head detaches and you go do like separate things like that. But your thing sounds probably more plausible that it's just you're taking control of different bodies, which could be really cool.
This is all making me think of the completely forgotten, and rightfully so, Never Dead.
Right?
yeah, rolling around with that head was not fun.
No, it was not.
And we don't necessarily know. I don't know if they specifically said this, that like we are that robot. We might be a robot. It might be somebody that we're.
Well, they said
creating
head popping twist, so I'm guessing that's
Sure.
yeah.
But if we're co-op, maybe we're we're both
Right.
robots that function this way. I don't know if there's going
They
to be
don't say
customization.
how many
It'd be
players.
crazy if it'd be crazy if one player was the head and the other player was the body, and you have to like negotiate.
Yeah,
that
like double dash.
Yeah.
Something that I'm not sure is the best move is I feel like with both this and Gunk, I'm interested because of the legacy behind it, but like I feel like they've shown so little that it's hard for me to really grasp, like, okay, what is this? What am I going to be doing? You know, and it just, I have all these questions. Like, I'm excited for Gunk. The very little that I've seen looks cool, but they've been really reserved, I feel like, in what's actually been presented.
Well, that's the thing. Even with the release here, I didn't watch the full presentation, but when they sent the email, I clicked on the gameplay trailer and I'm like, wait, this gameplay trailer is from August. Did you not show new gameplay? Like, I haven't dug into it to find out, but
I haven't. To be fair, I haven't dug into it either.
But the release date was the big announcement, and so it's December 16th on Game Pass. So yeah, that'll be a fun game to play over the break.
Do we think we're going to talk about this later in the podcast? Do we think that this might be SteamWorld might discover a whole new audience because it is something, third-person action, something that would be, generally can potentially be more successful than your 2D indie platformer?
I think so. I think it's really just going to depend on how much they can get it in front of people, and like Ben was saying, like how much they can market both of these games. I think Game Pass is a huge win for them.
Absolutely.
They don't have a lot of other resources to lean on, but Game Pass kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, to the point where I feel like if you can kind of be the gem of Game Pass for that month, that brings you a lot of attention and kind of cachet. And so
unfortunately, that will be Halo Infinite, but
right.
But at the same time,
right. That's true.
Also, right before like the holidays, and I feel like especially the previous SteamWorld games have done, like for me, that's how like I discovered a few of them was like I just want something like quick and easy to play, and it's like indie games generally like seem to do well for those plane trips for you're just like home, you bring your Switch with you just want to play it on something portable. So I would not discount that, probably, that despite there being some heavy hitters coming out in the beginning of December, it might still do well.
You can play it on your phone via xCloud on the plane? I guess theoretically.
No, not on the plane. Probably not.
Probably not.
I guess you'd have to be on the Wi-Fi, maybe.
Well, okay. I don't know if anybody else.
I don't imagine plane Wi-Fi being fast enough to play xCloud.
I don't know if anybody else has had this problem, and admittedly it's been a while since I've done it, but I've paid for Wi-Fi on a flight like multiple times, and it's not worked multiple times.
Right? Yeah, no, it's not.
It just doesn't.
It's like better Wi-Fi in a hotel, and like what am I? Or better internet in a hotel, like what are you?
Oh. There have been so many times. I mean, it's been a couple of years now since we haven't really been traveling, to where I just gave up on the hotel internet and used my phone as a hotspot because it was that much faster.
I've had some really good hotel internet experiences, and like 2 years ago, I was like, oh wow, some places are getting better.
Cherish those.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Because so many of them just don't care.
Right.
To wrap up on Thunderful, this is a dev that just always seems like they're doing what they want to do. Like Quest, I also bounced off of, but
Image and Form is just a part of Thunderful. So they have a lot of other things that they do. Wavetail, I thought, also looked interesting. That shadow dropped on Stadia, and like kind of zipping around. It's like almost it kind of gives me Wind Waker-esque vibes, because it's like it's an adventure, but you're also kind of like skirting along the waves and all of this kind of thing. And I'm curious to see how that one goes.
Is that gonna be next year? Have they put a date on that?
No, it's shadow dropped.
Oh, it's shadow dropped.
Yeah, it's on Stadia right now.
I could play it on my laptop right now. I can play it during the podcast. I just hope that this is something that they want to do. That this is not pressure or something. That this is not them kind of like growing up as a studio.
I don't get that vibe.
Yeah, I just saw the CG trailer. I was like, oh, okay. Like I'm not.
Yeah, every time I've talked to Image and Form, they seem like they've always been very like, we do the stuff we want to do, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but we'll have another one next year. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know who else does what they want to do? Riot Games.
Do they?
Yeah, we could
I feel like I've been waiting on their fighting game for 35 years.
Well, there's a lot of things to wait on. Yeah, there's a lot of projects going on over at Riot. Specifically, I want to talk about the League of Legends universe and just kind of what League of Legends is doing right now, because there were a lot of announcements. I was like, oh, I want to talk about that one League thing. And then I was like pursuing that, and that took me to another League thing, and that took me to something else. And all of this is like just going down in the last week. We talk about Riot every now and then on the podcast. We talk about League. I know that's a game that like we've played recently, for fundraising and marathon purposes.
We played very badly recently.
Yes. But it is a absolutely massive game, and so it's something. Fortnite is massive in the same way in terms of like how much energy they do, how much style they have, how much people they have, creating new outfits and new, microtransaction stuff. But I play Fortnite, and a lot of us have played Fortnite internally here at Easy Allies, whereas League of Legends is not something that comes up in the conversation. So I want to check with some of the big things that they're doing right now, bounce them off this crew in terms of like how League of Legends operates, who specifically they're making this stuff for, and what we think about this stuff, along with the fighting game that's taking forever. This week, Riot and Choice Provisions, which made Bit.Trip.
I just say BitTrip.
BitTrip.
All right.
Yeah.
So we know Bit.Trip.
Yes, we like BitTrip. very
BitTrip
much.
Runner, there's like 800 of them.
Yeah,
Got
they're
it.
good games.
They are good games.
Again, just outclassing me with all the mobile stuff. Announced Hextech Mayhem, a League of Legends story. This stars Ziggs. Ziggs fans? Anybody?
I've heard that name
Ziggs?
before, I feel like.
He is the champion who has Hexplosives.
Certainly
okay.
had a League of Legends phase
He
a long time ago.
He is bomb jumping around here. My League of Legends phase lasted the night that Brent Phillips showed me League of Legends. And I was like, cool. This is coming to Switch and PC on November 16th. This will be followed by a version for Netflix's mobile game service, quote unquote, soon. So Netflix did say that this is something, obviously, as I will mention, for other reasons, Riot and Netflix are investing. Yep. There are other games published, along with what Ben mentioned, under the label Riot Forge, which they've talked about earlier, including Ruined King, a League of Legends story from Airship Syndicate, who made Battle Chasers Night War. Riot plans to showcase its Riot Forge lineup during a video presentation on Tuesday, November 16th at 8 a.m. So, Ben, what is it about the fighting game that intrigues you other than it being potentially a cool fighting game? Like give all fighting games a shot, because any one of them might be good.
Right. The potential with the Riot fighting game is twofold. So one is how they present it mechanically, right? So it's like, how are they going to make it, a notoriously inaccessible genre? What is going to be their path to make it more accessible? And then you also have, League of Legends is gargantuan, right? So you have a niche genre that is now being exposed to a very popular, very mainstream, very big audience. Is there going to be any carryover from that audience into this new thing?
I was gonna say, I mean, that's a good point, Ben, because it feels like a lot of fighting games do such a good job of making them look cool, but It's like breaking out beyond just the fighting game demographic, essentially. Right. And Riot having such a big IP, it's like the only other one I can point to that has so much success. I mean, yes, like there's big ones like Street Fighter, but like Super Smash Bros. Dwarfs those things.
Oh yeah,
it's like
yeah.
How do you who can you be as big as Smash or even bigger than Smash just in terms of popularity?
Sure,
like just reach. And I think that's maybe what Riot's hoping to go for, because they just don't want to have just a good fighting game. It seems like every action they're doing with these announcements is like, we need to expand this. We're trying to reach as many people and just be bigger, because we already have League of Legends, which is huge, but we need more. And
it's also just purely like monetary investment. Like even Guilty Gear Strive, which for Guilty Gear, absolutely phenomenal success, reached a ton of people, has done so many great things. I mean, the amount of resources that they have compared to a Riot Games that just makes a K-pop video just because that goes super viral, right? Where I feel like they can just do things and market it and bring awareness to it in a way that a lot of fighting game companies don't have the bandwidth to do.
Yeah. And with the resources thing, I'm really curious. So, I'm not the biggest fighting game fan in terms of playing fighting games, but I do like watching them, and I'm very curious about how they turn out. And one thing I'm very interested to see about Riot's fighting game is the netcode.
Yeah.
Because that's their specialty is online games. Will they be able to deliver something that satisfies or potentially becomes the standard for fighting games?
Well, and in recently, rollback has become such a standard, and the scrutiny for netcode has only grown. And so, I agree that is definitely something that's prioritized.
I'm not in the fighting game community at all. And if somebody said at PAX or something I bumped into that they were into a fighting game or something, I'd be like, you got that rollback netcode? I'm hearing things, It's like, I even know about that for being so far out.
Well,
so yes, it is something.
And you think about just all of the esports stuff that Riot already does, and the production values of that, right? Rolling that into the fighting game world, like how is that going to translate, and is there going to be resistance to it? Because I think the fighting game community certainly prioritizes and loves kind of a grassroots scene and people that do genuinely care about the scene and know about it and have, experience with it.
I saw reporting last week that Riot, and I imagine this is kind of an industry-wide issue, esports, one of those things that did not do as well as the rest of the video game industry in the pandemic. Something that is yet to really come back. So it'll be interesting to see these companies that we know for producing events like that, Capcom and Blizzard and Riot, how they're going to manage the next couple of years. How does what you know about this fighting game, and how do you predict the fighting game will make you feel differently at all about League of Legends? Because it seems like, when I think about like an Activision or Blizzard, where these companies will have mobile arms and variants of all of their own popular franchises, but those are intended, the hope is you get Call of Duty Mobile and then you want to play Warzone, you want to play Vanguard. Whereas all this is kind of outside of League of Legends, like they're fishing, and just like kind of hoping to pull people back in. Do you feel a tug there at all? Do you feel... I'm just kind of curious what that perspective's like, because you were saying like they make a K-pop video just cause, and it's like crazy to me to spend billions just because something is creatively fulfilling and looks beautiful. It's like that's amazing that they have that much capital to throw around. This
is definitely just me, right? So I realize that this is not the case for many people, but I have at best nothing but total apathy for anything regarding League of Legends, and at worst, like dislike for it got to a point with League of Legends where it's like I'm not enjoying this community sucks. I have no attachment really to any of these characters beyond like some of them look kind of cool, and I feel like all of their ventures outside of that have just kind of taken something that already exists and adding their own twist on it. And to be fair, I think they're executing on those twists pretty well, but it's hard to articulate, but everything Riot touches just kind of has this sheen to it where I just don't feel like objectively I'm like, oh, I see that this is well done, but I don't like feel a soul. I don't feel any connection to it. I don't feel like a desire to want to invest my time into it. But that's just a me thing. Think.
What's a good genre to get Michael Damiani into League of Legends? Like, what mobile game or something should we make?
I don't know about mobile game, but I was going to follow that up by saying, like, for me, I have virtually no investment in the League of Legends game or its universe. But if they were going to try something like a fighting game, might get me into it, especially if it gets picked up by the FGC, and then it actually becomes a supported thing that becomes a big deal. I'd actually be interested in learning and watching it. I might learn and care more about it through that. But basically, that's what I think they're trying to, this is what they're trying to do. They're coming after people like me who, they don't play League of Legends. They don't even care about anything we're doing. They just spin us. We got to try something else. And, but we're really passionate about this, and we want to make it a good fighting game at the same time. So it's not like it's like just all these things they're trying to achieve. And if it works out, yes, then they got me in. I might not ever touch League of Legends,
right,
but I will watch this stuff on Twitch and maybe I get familiar with the characters and maybe okay, I'm a little bit interested. Maybe I'll watch your Netflix show or whatever, Arcane or whatever it is, because I'm invested in the universe a little bit more because that was my gateway in.
Right.
Nothing they've done so far has just been able to sink its hooks into me.
To clarify what I said. I did check into Valorant pretty recently, and I was like, okay, there's something here. I would definitely play more of this. I could see myself getting more into this. So I'm certainly not immune to it, but in terms of League of Legends itself specifically, nah.
I think Valorant's more successful than I remember the first gameplay we ever saw. They didn't show a lot of it. I remember being like, oh, okay, this looks interesting. And I think they've definitely had success there. This just in, though. Our very own Isla Hink has seen 3 episodes of Arcane on Netflix.
Correct. Those are all the ones that are available right now.
Nice. That's very un-Netflix of them. Or I guess, whoa.
It's a weird thing. They're doing 3 batches of 3. The next 3 are in a few days. The 13th or the 15th of November, I think. And then the last 3. So it's 3 acts, I think.
What is Arcane about? No spoilers.
Okay, so interesting. I had seen a poster, and I knew for a long time that they were working on a show, but like I saw a poster for Arcane, and I was like, oh, that looks cool. And so I threw it on last night, and Sophia was like, is this the League of Legends thing? And I was like, oh, what? That's okay. And then like the title comes up and it says Arcane League of Legends. I was like, oh, what? Okay. And then like, because I have friends who work at Riot and stuff, like I'm interested in the characters, but yeah, like Ben said, I don't really like the game. I'm just bad at it. I don't really know how to play it, and people are mean. But the show is fucking good. The show is like good.
Funny.
I was really enjoying it. It was really fun. If you have a cursory knowledge or higher of the characters, it's really fun because like I knew nothing going in, and like without saying anything too spoilery, it's really fun to figure out like when the show is taking place, who some of the characters are. Some of them, if you know like the characters, you'll realize like immediately like, oh, that's this person, cool. Some of them they just say their names, but some of them are a little more hidden. It's just neat, and it's actually kind of good. The music choices are very odd, I would say. Like the theme song is by Imagine Dragons, so it's like
Of course it is.
That
It's
you are
perfect.
pulling me
Terrible.
so far out.
Terrible.
Right
No,
now.
no, I know.
Like I was like, oh wow, it's really good. That's interesting.
No,
and then you
you'll,
say Imagine Dragons, and I'm like,
yes.
no,
Right, no. But
no.
like they have one like the theme.
No.
I mean, you reach for that skip intro button, and it's fine. You don't have to hear it. But
true,
like,
that's true.
there's like one other like pop rock song that'll happen per episode that like completely feels out of place. But then everything else is surprisingly good. I mean, maybe I just went in with zero expectations. I literally didn't even know what I was clicking on. I just liked their hair colors. But yeah,
They know this. There's not.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an accident.
But it was. I was surprised. Like I don't know. Maybe everybody hates it and I'm wrong, but I was surprised.
No,
I
that's
liked
cool.
it.
That's cool to hear.
Yeah.
And fascinating that you discovered it without knowing it was a League of Legends property, without actually having, probably more of a knowledge of the characters and the lore behind that. When I see Fortnite get like The Flash, when I see Fortnite get, Walking Dead, or say, it's like, okay, it's so very clear what they're doing. They have the money to invest in this, to get a property in there that people, Ripley was finally the one where I buckled and I dug up, the V-Bucks that I thankfully had and bought it. And then here's Riot on the other side being like, no, our own property, our own characters are doing our own thing. If you don't know it's League, it's fine. Just watch it. Like, it seems like such a carefree way to spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
That was the thing that I appreciated about the show was, because sometimes if they're like, they say the line that like, like, you're such a this character name or whatever, this was supposed to be, we called this kingdom this word that's important to the game that you already know. Like a lot of times, a lot of properties lean into that too hard, like Star Trek Into Darkness when Khan they're like, what's your name? And he's like, Khan.
Yeah.
And you're like, why did you, like, if in real life they'd be like, why did you just say your own name like that, you maniac? Because it's for the audience. Like, this show thankfully doesn't do that. So I do think that you could just sit and enjoy this show if you know nothing about it.
This isn't like particularly League of Legends' fault. It's more of a cumulative problem, but I'm like kind of getting to this point where like every successful property is like blowing up so much and like has so many facets going on, and like the world building just gets like more and more insane, where it's like I feel like it's getting more and more difficult to like keep all of this information about these fictional places because they're becoming so layered and dense. And like that's cool, and like the ones that I'm invested in I really enjoy, but like it's kind of starting to feel like everything is getting like that, and it just is a little exhausting in a way. Like just the thought of like learning about the history of a new place right now is just kind of like, I don't know, man.
I got like the full ending of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I was like, I think I missed some endings of the past, and I'm just like, oh man, there's so many like lore bits
Right.
that
That
I'm probably
feeling.
so clueless on.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is just such a big
Well,
thing.
that's why it's encouraging, that Isla says that you can just jump into this and watch this and
For
enjoy
sure.
this,
Yeah.
and
For sure.
who cares
Right.
about what it connects to? So
They're doing a global partnership with Rihanna's makeup brand Fenty Beauty for Arcane. There's gonna be people checking out Arcane beauty products. Don't play League of Legends. Don't know what Riot Game's in. Just like, oh, it's good purple.
Fenty's pretty dope.
It's
I have some Fenty stuff.
this. I don't know if they're being weird or if this is the secret to their success. It's like, obviously, if you just spend a lot of money, but they really seem tapped into specifically what their fan base wants. And Bennett reminds me of, is this how our family and friends that don't know video games feel about video games? Is the way we feel about League of Legends? Where we're like, yeah, I've done it. I'm familiar. Yeah, I know the name, your Riot. But otherwise, just, it would take hours to get caught up.
If you were to ask me, like, are you very familiar with League of Legends? I would say no. I am still way more familiar with League of Legends than my family is with video games at large. It's. I think it's a level of disconnect that is not quite comparable. Like, there are people on my mom's side of the family that are convinced that I make video games, and I've told them multiple times that I do not.
You got to lean into it. You got to be like, yep. Just take them home.
I gave up a long time ago trying to explain what we do to anybody. I was just like, I make videos.
Just slide Skyrim Anniversary Edition across the table. I made this.
I'm a billionaire.
Yep.
Got some really exciting details about Spider-Man coming to Marvel's Avengers.
You have exciting details?
On November
30th.
Why wasn't the trailer exciting that we got to see this week? Finally unveiling Spider-Man, who is coming
He just
to...
throws a cup on the ground? What? Why did he throw the cup on the ground?
To distract. He's playful, man.
There's a scene
Distract him. He jumped right where the cup was.
Yeah.
There's a scene in Ronin
hard
where
mode.
they drop a cup, and it's awesome. So it can be done well.
True.
And then they do this kind of back and forth, and the Avengers show up, and then they have just this weird kind of cut between things at the end where I just got real confused. It's like, what's happening now? And the physics on the swinging felt slow and like it lacked momentum.
Oh, it was CG swinging, though.
Yeah.
They were like... He was like flying up to near the top of a building, and it's like, you can't get higher than 15 floors in New York City. I've been in that map several times. Maybe that's an exciting part of the update, but I doubt it. No, a lot of people are skeptical about mobility more than anything. It's like he's going to swing like Black Widow does. End of story. I'd be very surprised if he does not. Have to kind of speculate at this point because still no gameplay of Spider-Man. He's about 3 weeks away. They like to do the war tables at Avengers. No war table currently scheduled.
Really?
Again, this is Thursday. We're recording the podcast. So if they tweet it out after we're done or while we're recording on Friday morning or something. But
This feels like there's a ship, right? If we pretend that Avengers is a ship and it's sinking, there's like essential crew that has to stay on while everybody else evacuates. That's what feels like is happening right now. That like, yes, there are people running this thing, but just barely.
Yeah. How many people are making Tomb Raider right now?
Yeah. And Square Enix from marketing, you're not going to get that War Council because they're too busy focusing on that first Soldier launch next Friday. It's not like all this marketing for it. They're pushing that.
are you upset that the Easy Allies bet was not on First Soldier? I did see it next week. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, what kind of First Soldier bet?
I'm not. No.
File size or something? I don't know.
Upset is a strong word, but it would have been cool.
I'm furious.
Yeah, very mad.
Your first soldier, man.
It's just, I feel like any company can potentially turn something around, especially Square Enix, given their history. When they care enough about something, they can put the resources and effort. And Ben's metaphor there, it's like pretty much like that is not absolutely. There's no sign that that's happening. Like this is like. Feels like an obligation they have to fulfill.
Absolutely.
And then we are out of here.
Yeah.
It's like maybe a year from now they have to release it on other consoles like as the final part of that contract. And I can imagine a year from now it's like there's no one playing. And like, oh, and also this week, Spider-Man comes to Xbox.
Right.
You should make the lockdown better now.
That's got to
That'll be a headline for sure.
more awkward, right? Is like, oh, here's an exclusive character for one of our 4 platforms. Yeah, it feels like they definitely don't want to put as much backing into it, especially since they did the Game Pass thing and they did the free to play currency thing, and then they took away the free to play currency thing, and
And it's like, did they paint themselves in a corner with this deal? Because even if they wanted to just like unleash Spider-Man on all the platforms, or does the contract have them kind of like their hands tied? So it's like, we really need to release on everything, but Sony won't budge because they already paid for it. So
Yeah.
I think maybe that's just more, that this is more evidence for them that like this is going to be a little too difficult to salvage. That there's just, maybe it's time to just like plot an exit course for this project and move on to something else.
How do we feel about that exclusivity? How's that playing to? I mean, granted, there's just not a lot I think you can do to like really, blow up or piss off the fan base anymore. I think they're kind of like where they're going to be. So is this hurting? Is this helping? Is it neutral?
When we originally talked about this, right, the hope was that Avengers would be a great and long prosperous game, and it's like, oh man, it really sucks that this character is limited to one platform. But now that the game has failed and no one cares about it, it kind of doesn't matter. Like, really, does anyone really care anymore? Like, I don't think so. I'm not seeing signs of life.
Well, and Sony is so draconian about the Spider-Man license that it would have been Sony exclusive or not happen at all, I think.
Right.
Like, them's the breaks.
I just think it's one of those things that in this day and age with like a more cross-platform and cross-play, and for big games such as this, like, even though like you can understand it from Sony's perspective, it makes no sense from the Avengers perspective. To try to market this thing and to have just so much of your player base be like, oh, so when can I play it? And it's like, you can't.
Yeah.
You won't.
There's no Xbox equivalent. It's just some weird. Any story updates are just gonna have to ignore him because are they gonna say the word ever in any official story thing? Spider-Man.
Right.
So when someone Xbox is like, what? Spider-Man's in this?
And I think that's part of the problem too, because it's just in the back of your mind, you feel like this has got to be somewhat insignificant and half-hearted.
Yeah.
And if it's not, prove it, because
right.
Because you just have a small segment, or
the
small
carpet
segment,
they
but
rolled
only
out
a segment of your
for Black
user base.
Panther was much, much, much bigger than this. That was clearly like that. This is not called Black Panther. This is the war for Wakanda.
And
they're like, I don't know. There's a mission called with great power, Spider-Man. We'll tell you his moveset later.
So this is coming out in 3 weeks, and it's like, I'm going to be playing Pokemon. I'm hopefully going to be playing Halo, and it's just like, no, like I'm not. Sorry, like other things will take priority.
I do kind of get it when you see that cast shot at the end where you have everybody together. It's like, okay, now we are getting close to a launch lineup from a typical Ultimate Alliance game from 15 years ago.
Right.
But no voice actor also. I mean, there's a voice to the character, but they have not confirmed who that actor is.
Yeah,
would seem like a fun day to do that. I don't know. The unveil of the costume and everything, and be like, and
Maybe
thanks
more
to
of a
this
sign
person who's not Yuri Lowenthal for jumping in, and because Yuri is Spider-Man multiple places. He showed up animated, and he's in Future Revolution and stuff. So a lot of people were assuming, and some people have issues with the suit. I think the suit looks fine. And now, a word from our sponsors. The holidays can be hectic, but HelloFresh keeps things simple with recipes and ingredients that cut out grocery shopping and limit meal prep time so you can spend more of the festive season with friends and family. With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable, and that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh offers the flexibility you need to easily customize your order on the app within minutes, easily change your delivery day, food preferences, and plan size, or skip a week whenever you need. It makes the holidays easier. Your weekly delivery is made to help you cut back on meal prep and cleanup, and their limited edition holiday boxes deliver everything you need to cook up a family feast, no planning necessary. I definitely appreciate HelloFresh because I have way too much in common with my 2-year-old. As we both watch my wife prepare meals, like, ooh, it's like Milo's a 2-year-old's learning these skills. You'd think me at like 42 would have, picked them up earlier. Not so much. HelloFresh helping me a lot out with my marriage, with my child, and with eating. So shout out to them. All of these things are extremely delicious and extremely easy to make. Go to HelloFresh.com/allies14 and use code allies14 for up to 14 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/allies14. Use code allies14 for up to 14 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. The best way to think about therapy is through a bunch of analogies. We get oil changes for our cars to prevent bigger issues down the road. We see the doctor and go to the gym to take care of our bodies to prevent injury and disease. We do chores regularly, some of us, to avoid a messy house. Going to therapy doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It means you're investing in yourself to keep your mind healthy. I went to my doctor, and I told him I wasn't feeling well, and took a therapist to be like, it's actually going on in your mind, not your stomach. My doctor was like, yeah, that's what I was going to say. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy. You can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Why invest in everything else and not your mind? This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Easy Allies listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/allies. That's BETTERHELP.com/allies. What if getting your favorite groceries put time back into your week instead of taking it away? I love talking about deliciousness during sponsor time on the Easy Allies podcast. With the weather getting colder outside, stay cozy inside and let Imperfect Foods deliver you intentionally sourced groceries with just a few clicks. Imperfect Foods is a grocery delivery service offering an entire line of sustainable groceries that taste delicious and reduce waste. Make a difference in our food system. Embrace the natural imperfections and get your groceries delivered weekly with Imperfect Foods. I've used Imperfect Foods for a while, long before we got the sponsorship. Blood has jumped in on it as well.
Yeah, I've been doing it the past few weeks.
It's funny. I will go to like Ralph's now, and I'll just be like, you see like their models, you see all like the perfect oranges, and I'm just like, show offs.
What's funny though is a lot of I don't even see what's supposedly wrong with a lot of the stuff I get.
Yeah.
The mushrooms are great. They have these. I've been getting like chocolate covered pretzels or nuts or whatever because they're just like, oh, these were broken or these were the wrong size. So they just take them and put chocolate on them and sell them. And there you go.
Just put it in my face. Visit imperfectfoods.com to see if they deliver in your area. Once you sign up, you can summarize your weekly grocery order with free seasonal produce, pantry samples, and yummy snacks. Plus, your order will arrive on the same day each week. On average, Imperfect Foods customers save 6 to 8 pounds of food from lesser outcomes with every order, and unlike on-demand delivery companies, Imperfect delivers weekly by neighborhood, a unique model that produces 25 to 75 fewer emissions than individual trips to the grocery store. Plus, say goodbye to packaging guilt. Imperfect Foods is the only national grocery delivery company that makes it easy to return your packaging after every order. Right now, Imperfect Foods is offering our listeners 20% off your first 4 orders when you go to imperfectfoods.com and use promo code ALLIES. Again, 20% off of your first 4 orders. That's up to an $80 value at imperfectfoods.com and the offer code when you use promo code ALLIES. imperfectfoods.com and use ALLIES. And if you are a patron of Easy Allies, thank you.
When I mentioned other stuff that I'd be playing, I forgot the biggest thing, the most important thing, is Endwalker. And I was thinking, Michael Damiani sitting next to me, I wanted him on the last episode of Frame Trap because I got to gush about Shadowbringers, and he couldn't make it. And so we haven't had that conversation yet.
Just cutting away at the Final Fantasy XIV discourse within Easy Allies.
Yeah.
Stunting it at every turn.
I know.
Brutal.
I just want to have that conversation with Damiani at some point.
Delayed 2 weeks, so...
Delayed 2 weeks?
Moved out of Battlefield's way, but right into Halo.
Right into Halo's
like,
way, yeah.
Almost perfect.
Speaking of Final Fantasy XIV, I bought you a carbuncle once.
Yeah,
and you've told this story on the podcast.
I was at Comic-Con, yeah.
Pretty sure you have told this story. But regale our new listeners.
Well, Square Enix makes a lot of money on that merch there, right?
Oh, they make a lot of money on that and like cash shop stuff, of course.
The gigantic
That's why it's the most
Magitech
profitable
armor they just announced like a couple weeks ago.
Well, that's their cool stuff.
I just want
Holy
the Encyclopedia Eorzea to be
next
reprinted.
year. If
I
you
know.
pre-order.
I did. I think it's August.
Final Fantasy XIV, most profitable Final Fantasy game in the series. That's why they sell
nailed
this stuff.
Nothing
And
but
you know
MMOs
what?
now.
They've earned every goddamn penny.
It's true.
The funny thing with the Magitech statue is like I don't even think they had released the price yet, have they? But it's probably like $3,000, $4,000. But it's even if I could like put the money on it, if I saved up and I got this amazing statue,
That statue is incredible.
I would be like, well, my apartment isn't good enough for this thing.
Right? Yeah. It's like,
I love that.
The studio isn't good enough
The
for
only
this
thing
thing.
is
I
still
don't have anywhere
in
to
the
put
carpet
this.
on the middle. You
Yeah.
know, no couch.
Oh,
You
man.
just imagine just like the centerpiece of like your whole living space. It's
I
like,
can imagine my cat knocking it over.
I need to
in a
have
display
my
case.
castle from Forza Horizon 5, and then I can get the Magitech armor.
Magitech NFT.
You can just bring it to the studio and put it on display here.
So you'd
Yeah, like right here.
Right here.
Yeah.
But it would take up. That's the thing. It would
that's
be
fine.
in our
It's-
faces.
it's
You
better
wouldn't
than our
fit
It'll be our
faces.
most
It's
viewed
better than our
Most
faces.
viewed episode. is Magitech
Yeah.
armor.
There's something about this show that's really upped its production quality. I can't tell.
So much sexier.
Yeah. I would imagine that MiHoYo makes a lot of money on Genshin Impact merch. That's pretty important
Yeah.
to that
people
company.
like their anime characters.
It's true. Genshin Impact posted this week some merch rules. Some rules for their fans in terms of making merch.
Oh.
Now, if you were
Good
to
luck with
This is-
that.
That's what I'm
is
saying.
commonplace.
Well, is it? I actually heard it
I
was
don't know
not
if-
super common.
So maybe not with game companies, but this is
Yeah,
a
with
thing-
like your Nintendos or your
with anime. This is pretty common with anime and anime licensors. They dictate like because if you go to conventions, they have like artist alleys.
Yeah.
They sell like this fan made stuff. They usually put out rules, which is kind of nice because it's you can still profit off of it. Whereas like game companies, like you can't even make a fan game for no profit. Like we're gonna shut you down. So it's like nice
Right.
when game companies do something like this. Yeah.
So you're saying this is more of the anime side of Genshin Impact and not the video game side. Anime saving the day here is what
There
you're
is
saying.
no separation.
There's
That's a good point. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's one and the same.
Learn more and more. There's a lot to these. This is a big, long, fun. I wouldn't necessarily call it a
I
legal
imagine.
document. I grabbed the highlights because I'm
imagine.
curious to throw this at the crew and if this surprises you, if like Damiani, you say this is just kind of par for the course, for anime or for entities like this. Travelers are free to create original secondary content from already published content of the Genshin Impact series and produce physical merchandise to give away or sell. So, like, go for it. Make stuff. Sell it. It must not violate relevant laws and regulations. It must not infringe on the rights and interests of third parties, so you can't just throw like Luke Skywalker in there. The Genshin Impact development team and MiHoYo. Furthermore, they shall not harm the reputation of Genshin Impact
Sure.
It
or
was-
MiHoYo.
That means
Brandon,
no
it was
porn.
so telling that you were reading these rules and your example was not another anime character, but was instead Luke Skywalker.
True.
Was such a Brandon Jones move.
Yeah.
Because everyone else would have picked Goku, Jones.
Okay.
So you know.
What comes to your mind when you think about harming the reputation
Porn.
of? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they don't want hentai and shit like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
You just can't make money. No one's gonna stop you.
But
from
also
making
like
it.
they also I mean there might be clarification later, but like they don't like any of their merch to be associated with any political movements, stuff
Sure.
like that. Like you can't have a message of that kind. It just has to be like matter of fact.
That's interesting because Goku's extremely political, right?
Oh yeah.
Like just putting Goku in there, well.
He just. Yep.
Online sales can't exceed 500 units of the product.
Oh,
So you can
That's-
sell
that's
500.
interesting. That's interesting.
If you're an individual, you can sell 200 if you're a quote fan group.
So less if you're
What
a bigger
qualifies
entity.
a fan group?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not familiar with that type of structure.
Hopefully fan groups are.
So
Hopefully they're not
500
making too many units.
over any specific period of time, just 500 units. That's
500
so weird.
units.
Yeah, that limit.
Because what
I haven't
happens
heard of
if,
a limit
like, I don't
that.
know, somebody has an Etsy and, they're selling a couple a month, and then some announcement happens and everybody, like, floods their Etsy channel and they order 700 and, like,
I don't know if it's related to this, but I think it's more about finite resources that some Etsy creators have. They will offer products, and then when they sell out, like, I'm never making this again. So, I mean, maybe it's a little bit of both, but like
Right.
this is like I would imagine like there would be a time period associated with this, right? Like a year. In a calendar year, you can only do 500 of these units, but over a lifetime, it's like I don't know. That seems
Right.
maybe strict. I don't know. I don't sell things like this. So.
Novels or stories written by fans do not need to be declared officially, whether for profit or not, as long as they comply with the basic regulations and laws of the country. If these works are accompanied by physical merchandise, this must be declared. But if you want to just write something, again, that does not infringe upon the reputation.
Fan fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can sell it if you want to, sell your fanfic.
Yeah.
Interesting.
For all those people out there ravenously buying fanfic.
Yeah, the legends.
During the authorization application review process, requests such as, quote, authorization to use all Genshin Impact characters will not be accepted. So they're like,
Just give me everything.
Just don't, yeah. It's the old give me Sora and Donald and Goofy approach.
The way that that's phrased feels like so all-encompassing, where it's like, I'm going to write a story about that vendor as well. Like, it's just...
What? The words, quote, fan-made merchandise must be clearly visible on the product page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that seems pretty
On the
standard.
product itself or the packaging?
On the product page. I just think where you buy
Okay,
it. I don't
okay.
think it needs to say it on although unless you're proud of that, unless you want to wave that banner.
Got it.
The product description may not contain any statements that suggest a direct connection to Genshin Impact or MiHoYo, such as, quote, original Genshin Impact product or, quote, official collaboration.
That seems
Does kind of make sense.
standard.
Yeah.
The direct use, partial modification, or retouching of official source materials in the images and design elements of the product detail page is prohibited.
Yep,
You can't
that's-
goof with the logo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you
this
can't
is
just
very
Photoshop
standard.
something and change
Right.
the colors.
Very-
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, we've never done that at a community showcase before, but then no, that's not a thing.
This is for selling stuff. Yeah, you can't take official
Right.
stuff and
No money changed hands during the production of the
Right.
community showcase.
Because, because then you just open the window, it's like, oh, I'm selling posters over here, and you just print off, a wallpaper they've posted. Yeah.
And those are the highlights. How does that, based on what you know, Damiani, does that seem fair? And is this unusual because it is a game, like you said, and like Nintendo's not going to be like, okay, Metroid developers, let's figure this out. Let's write something that it's obvious if you broke the rules because this is what we said. And obviously they have copyright rules, but
unless something's
an olive branch.
Unless something's in my mind, the only thing that stood out was just the unit restriction on how many you can actually make. And then if you're part of a bigger fan group, you can make less. I thought it was gonna be you're gonna say you can make like 1,000 if you're part of a fan group. It's like no, you can only make less. So it's like, what's the reasoning behind?
Because they're like an established thing, where if you're just an individual, I don't know.
Maybe I don't know, but that's it. Everything else seems pretty matter of fact, and it most of the time, like people were just selling this. It was like a gray market thing where they were just like, oh, we hope the company doesn't notice that we're selling these things. And it seems like over time, most of these companies that have allowed it, they really were only going after people who are taking as Blood was saying, pointed out the example, taking official things and just trying to repurpose them and sell them. Like, I'm going to take this official poster and like put on a T-shirt. I'm going to sell T-shirts of that. It's like, you can't do that. That's like official art from the artist, and like they're not getting compensated for that. But if you create your own piece of fan art and put it on posters, mugs, and stuff, then sure, you're allowed to sell up to 500 of each of these. So I maybe someone who's more entrenched in, like maybe the Etsy scene or something that like might be more affected by this can actually point out this, but to someone who's just like kind of casually knowledgeable about this stuff, it seems pretty decent. Yeah.
I can't wait for the Genshin Impact Netflix show.
They'll just make their own show. Why do they need Netflix? I don't know.
You mean they can make their own Netflix?
They'll make their own Netflix.
I am curious with the 500 stipulation whether
We got Arcane.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm curious whether that applies to like that creator's works overall, or if that's a specific product, because I could see, potentially someone getting the wiggle room of like, all right, well, I've made 500 of these statues. Now I can't make any more of this, but I'll put a hat on it, and now I can make 500 more. You know?
I see how different it could be before.
Right.
I'm going to guess unless someone like raises the attention of the company, no one's going to care as long as it looks different, because let's call this is a special edition. I mean, companies already do that. Like they sell the standard version of a figure, and then here's the deluxe version that lights up and stuff. So I imagine if there's some effort put into change it, and it's not literally the same thing, they might let them get away with it.
But it just feels to me like the overall intention of this is it's made for essentially a hobbyist
Yeah, it's
market. Yeah.
Hobby. The word
Yeah.
hobby did come up a lot in the document.
I think this is not. They don't want you to become like a company. Incorporate yourself, and now you're selling fan. Like that's your whole career, and you have employees and stuff. And now maybe that's why they said fan group, because the more people you get, like we know what you're trying to do here.
Sure.
Like that's a whole different thing where you need to come to us and you need to be licensed, and we'll go through that process. But yeah, I think it's as I said, keep it small scale. The local laws and stuff, the applicable thing, because I know in Japan for Dojin, like a lot of companies, you have to go through an application process as well. So I wonder, like for art, like selling like artwork or selling just an actual like Dojin as well, if they have to go through that as well, or if like in Japan they'll just be like, no, this agreement works and stuff, and then what other countries this might not even be allowed in.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see, because like some territories don't necessarily like their laws will supersede it. So I wonder if like this really changes anything in some parts of the world, or if it's just like, it actually makes it, doable.
Let's say Kyle Bossman gets eaten by a polar bear.
Very likely.
Posthumously, box peak art, everything just blows through the roof. So it's just all of a sudden people come rushing to youtube.com/easyallies trying to get that box peak. We could make a mint off of this merch that people are making. Is this feel good vibes? A sheet like this. Like, do we wish Nintendo would do this for people making fan games and stuff like that? Is it nice to reach out? Is it something we would do? Potentially not making as much money.
Well,
as
a
we
fan
could have.
game,
Yeah.
like if you're talking about like the Metroid 2 remake, I mean, there's more than 500 people downloaded that. You think about the distribution model. It's a very, very small amount of these items that they're allowing. So I think that even if say Nintendo or somebody allowed this, it wouldn't really make that big of a difference.
I think, I don't think any of this covers if someone made a Genshin Impact fan game either. If they made that, it's very likely that they will still come after them for that, especially if they try selling it.
Right.
So, I mean, I got a little bit ahead of myself in Nintendo, like with fan games, but because there are some other companies out there that do embrace it, like Sega is very embracing of their fan game community. But in terms of merchandise, that's a whole different story. I think people who do sell Nintendo fan works, it is in kind of a gray area, because they don't really have as far as I know, they don't have an official policy out there that's clarified like this that says just use the right verbiage, put the right labels on it, and only sell this many, and you can sell your own custom Mario things or whatever. Like, I don't think Nintendo's like, no, you can't do that. Like,
Damiani, you just made me realize that maybe Sega should crack down on the Sonic community a little bit more. Like maybe they should. They should tighten. Maybe.
but I mean, so would that be worth it to like not get someone like a Jason Whitehead to like come out of there?
I couldn't resist the joke. I couldn't resist the joke.
Guess what's coming back? Tomorrow, children.
Oh,
that game.
yeah. Well, somehow
Yeah.
Sony gave Q Games the rights back. That's cool.
It is cool. Maybe a tad insulting. Just we don't. They're the rights. Just take them.
I don't think this is
We
that
canceled this
unusual,
game
though.
4 years ago to get
Because
Yeah.
Sony originally published Journey, and Journey is now like republished under Annapurna, and then like Death Stranding, like eventually that came out on PC and stuff as well.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that Sony, I especially with something like that, to where they were essentially like publishing an indie game, I don't feel like they really are like clutching onto these things and like, no,
True.
this is ours.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know what process that Dylan Cuthbert and them had to go through to make this happen, or what their plans might be for it. But yeah, I'm not surprised by it.
One of the, I think, key differences is that Tomorrow Children would die to have a tenth of the success of a Journey or a Death Stranding. It definitely did not happen
Man.
for this game. A lot of people probably have no idea what video game we're talking about.
Right.
I
have only a vague like image of the characters and don't remember much else.
I tried to get into that game, I feel like multiple times, and like cold. Like I just couldn't do it. That game was, I don't know what it was. I was not feeling it even a little bit.
I was super pumped for it. I played it at PSX and never played it again. I literally waited in line, And I finally got up and was like, here we go. Yeah, Tomorrow Children. Because I love, base building. I love
and the style was so
mining
cool.
and it's just so fascinating. I you're kind of in this weird limbo. And this is a game about digging and building as kids in a dystopian void somewhere in Russia. We don't know. I think they specifically use the word dystopian and Russia in their description. You mentioned Dylan Cuthbert. He's the boss over at Q Games, which retained the ownership to it. Quote from Dylan, our fans are some of the most amazing gamers out there, and every day for the past 4 years, they have kept the dream alive. Isla, every day for the past 4 years, a fan base has been keeping Tomorrow Children alive.
I mean, I guess there are a lot of humans in the world.
There are.
And like, there's
Too
gonna
many.
be a market for a game that got a 54 on Metacritic.
And I
can't find sales numbers for.
There's kind of a grassroots vibe in Tomorrow Children. It's just kind of, hey, if we're gonna get this game back in stores, we got to do it ourselves.
That's cool. I mean, the people that are into it, let it live.
Yeah, and even how small the audience is. I mean, this clearly comes across as like, Dylan and the developers were passionate about this. I think they're just, maybe it's just them being excited. It's like, hey, we get to try one more time with this in some form because we got ownership again, so we're gonna bring it back. Like, yeah, sometimes it's nice to see devs get a little bit of like happiness, especially after like it didn't perform probably as well as they expected.
Right. I get, but I'm wondering how well they expect it to perform. What they have up their sleeve that is going to turn things around, or if they're just like, Sony wasn't pleased with the success. The numbers we were getting, Sony didn't like. We're totally happy with those numbers, even less. Mm-hmm. Maybe.
I have to imagine, even if I don't know anything about that, obviously, but I have to imagine there's some kind of like, I don't know, like just a feeling of completeness maybe as an artist about even if something doesn't succeed, but you no longer own it, getting ownership of it back. It seems to be like a very big part of that process. So having that kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's a reconciliation or something where it's just like, hey, this didn't do well, but I had the freedom to do whatever I want with it, and you know what? It's in my hands now. It's something I made. I don't know, that feeling of like ownership, I think, as a creator is very important and is undervalued. So even if they don't have delusions of grandeur for like what they're gonna do with this, or if it doesn't blow up with whatever plans they're gonna do, I imagine they're just gonna be satisfied that it's back in their hands and they have control of its fate.
Yeah, I definitely don't get the sense that Q Games has delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
I think they are aware that they're making niche products for sure.
I am now tweaking and reworking parts of the game every week. I hope everyone follows along and gets involved in the process. We plan to make quite a few changes for the better and give the Tomorrow Children the relaunch it deserves. So yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I want this to work out. I just think it's so interesting because I can't draw a line between this game and another game that like launched, closed a year later, has been gone for like 4 or 5 years, half a decade or so. Now is in the original ownership. They're going to bring it back, and it's like this is a tricky thing to try to pull off.
It's not exactly the same situation by any means, but I think about Among Us, where that was a game for a very long time until suddenly it blew up and people were made aware of its existence, and now it's, it became one of the biggest things in gaming for a while, and so it's definitely possible. And there are plenty of games that have had significant turnarounds as well.
Yeah. Hey, maybe like they'll team up with Devolver. Devolver seems to make games like this, pretty like explode in popularity.
Sure,
they're pretty good at marketing stuff like this. So maybe I don't know. Anything's possible. I didn't mean like when I said delusion of grandeur. I mean I was being extreme there, but
sure,
as Ben said, like anything is technically possible. So. Obviously not rooting against this game. I'm rooting for it, even though it was not a game for me. Mm-hmm. So, and like this team has a long history. They've made, they were responsible for one of my favorite at the time games, going back to like Star Fox when they were doing that with Nintendo. So, I mean, I wish them all the best and stuff. And hopefully, no matter what happens with this, they can come back and, continue to be making, games going forward. Yeah.
Yeah. And I likewise didn't mean to sound flippant. I liked it. I didn't like the game, but I want them to succeed. I think about Myst Online, which was like kept afloat by like a few hundred maybe, like really dedicated fans, and now it's like you can get on servers again because Cyan got it back and stuff. I love that game. So yeah, who knows?
Wasn't Myst Online like one of the?
You had to play it on Game Tab.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Wasn't it like one of the calling cards for Game Tap?
Yep.
I remember those commercials.
Wow.
Yeah.
I subscribed to Game Tap simply to play Myst Online. I never did anything else with it, just Myst Online. I loved it.
I'm just going to be following this very closely because it's just, I say that's an uphill battle, not because, I didn't end up playing the entire game, or I think this is not something that people can fall in love with. Just launching a game on its own is an uphill battle. And a lot of times you'll hear about people with IPs that they're like, I have the property, I'm ready to make a game. Just if anybody wants to fund this, and they seem just full steam ahead. They're like, no, we got to, we have all our ducks in a row. We're actually going to try to make this work. So be interesting. Do you want people to know about it? Do you want people to have never heard of it? What's your preferred audience? We shall see.
It kind of reminds me in a weird way of Let It Die, where it's like,
Oh, sure.
It has a niche, but if you find your niche,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Funny name for a franchise that keeps coming back. Also this week, Far Cry 6, the Vaz DLC, which is called Insanity. Mm-hmm. That launches next week. Forgot that was coming.
I get triggered every time I even think about that, because we use
going down in quality with the villains.
We
there
used
in
that
those
bloody
series.
trailer so many times
Right.
in edits back then. I hear it in my mind. Oh my god,
Yeah. But they got him back. New dialogue.
that's awesome. I
That's
love
pretty
that.
cool.
I love that.
And roguelike inspired.
Oh, funny.
So who knows what that's going to be like.
I imagine all of those are going to be very strange.
Yeah.
MGS2 and MGS3 are gone from storefronts over, quote, licenses for select historical archive footage used in-game.
Yeah, all the military scenes they show and stuff.
Of
like
course,
that.
yeah.
But apparently they weren't technically delisted yet. Maybe they are now, but I remember the last thing I went to bed that night was Wario64 tweeting they're still technically available right now. They haven't been pulled yet, but
And supposedly it's just going to be as long as it takes to figure this out. So
we have to hope and assume Konami is going to relicense it and not pull that stuff. Come on. Yeah, I don't know with Konami. It's like they're kind of like, people will still buy it, right? If we don't relicense
They'll
it.
relicense it, but just for use in a pachinko machine.
Total War Warhammer 3 is coming out on February 17th. Bullseye.
February.
I really want to get into Total War Warhammer. I really do, and I have for a long time, and I've definitely dabbled with it.
Good month.
But it's just coming
It's a
out
good-
at the
it's a
worst
good
possible
month.
Man,
time.
Every time.
Month with the fewest days. Wow.
That's been like my past my experience with the past few Dirt games.
Oh, sure.
It's like I want to get
Yeah.
into them, I want to review them, and then the release date comes and I'm like,
Can't you just do March?
Dang it.
Yeah, just Elden Ring picked February, everyone. Time to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get out of the move. Adjust. You have time.
Pull up.
Speaking of moving, that 14 Endwalker there, that was delayed 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We mentioned that already. Waylanders
Yoshi P cried on stream.
also delayed to February. Rune Factory is going to launch on December 7th. The Gunk is launching on
which
Game
Rune
Pass.
Factory?
Rune Factory 4 Special.
4, right.
It's coming to other platforms.
Nice.
Because it's already out on Switch, right?
yes, it's
so
out.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's coming out to the other consoles. Maybe PC? Can't remember if it's PC too.
Ooh, if it's coming to PC, I'll pick that up.
We talked about the Gunk being on Game Pass on December 16th. Steam Deck's now going to be next year. Got delayed by 2 months. As somebody who didn't buy that, I was not expecting that to come out super soon. I thought that was definitely, Hardware is probably going to have...
I am pretty stoked on that Steam Deck. Yeah.
I think it just makes people want it more. Dead by Daylight announced Portrait of a Murder.
Yeah.
New
Oh,
map.
man.
New villain.
Yes.
Chilean Desert Graveyard.
Yes. New Survivor.
That's a
as well.
Psycho Birds. Oh, New Survivor. Nice.
Yeah. The killer is just design-wise, I think, very aesthetically cool.
Back for Blood is getting a solo campaign progression in December with a free update that a lot of
Good.
people have been clamoring for. Yes, good. I think we had a Love and Respect specifically about that. Jump Force's availability through... I love this quote directly. Jump Force's availability through digital purchase in the Americas will end on February 7th at 5 p.m. Pacific time.
This
5 p.m.
this headline made me think two very specific things. One, that anime licenses are a nightmare.
Right.
And the fact that this is...
Especially anything with Jump, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like it's just a total nightmare. And so the specificity of this is totally in line with that. And also Jump Force was extremely successful because of those licenses, and there is this gigantic market for that type of game. I just wish the game was better. They're definitely going to do this again, and I hope I just hope it's better.
It looks flashy as hell. That is
It
a bad
does.
game that they can make look really good.
And they can make it look really bad.
The Borderlands Tiny Tina DLC that inspired Wonderlands is currently free on Epic until the 16th, and that'll be
never
$10
played that. I should play
otherwise.
That's fun.
They're definitely gonna want to get that in people's hands before Wonderlands comes out.
Yeah, it's a really cool
Yeah.
episode.
I hear people say that that's the best.
One of the best,
Borderlands DLC. I gotta check it out.
Jeff Keighley is touting double-digit new game announcements for this year's Game Awards. Buckle up.
11.
He's also already loaded in.
Yeah.
Who loads in
Well,
a
I
month
know.
early?
Meaning they're bringing in
cow.
the equipment into the theater.
Yeah.
Who's going to do anything in the Microsoft Theater between now and the beginning of December?
I guess. I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
you could have any number of concerts in a Microsoft theater. It's
Well,
just it's
in
crazy.
2021,
I think they're still
I don't-
under certain protocols, so they
Right.
probably have the venue.
Yeah.
No one else has it.
Keeley announce a dating simulator starring him and Kojima
and Muppets.
and Muppets.
And Muppets.
One of the devs at Scorn got angry in a Kickstarter update and later apologized. Said some mean things. Literally the definition of Scorn. Activision Blizzard is raising the minimum hourly rate to $17. It's paying even during holiday breaks. I think they get 13 holiday days a year. There's a lot of specific details.
That's specifically for external workers. Yeah.
Yes, and these are a series of small victories that I believe they're ABKs, the group that's putting up the biggest fight against Blizzard right now.
The crazy thing is, to receive those benefits, you have to crawl underneath the desks of your other employees.
That's true. With a beer. Ubisoft is raising a bunch of salaries to keep devs, which is, yay, it sounds nice, but apparently it's a lot of people that are making a lot of money anyway. So it's kind of like when you hear executives and like their salaries getting bumped. Like, well, I can't have them go to another company. This is just for me. Old Republic trailers were re-released this week in 4K
Not just for you.
for the
I'm into
10th
that.
anniversary. 4K.
Yeah.
Love that. Old trailers.
There
coming back
are a
shinier
lot of
than ever.
small objects in those trailers.
Yeah.
Or
Legacy of the Sith is their new expansion. They're celebrating all that stuff. 10 years that game's been around. And artist Goran Bukvik revealed work from, quote, Project Sabbath. This was a canceled Damian Wayne game from WB Montreal. This is the team that put together, that's working on Gotham Knights that did Batman Origins. They were going to do another one with Damian as Batman and an old bearded Kratos Batman, he recalls him.
I
Really
am
good.
sad that didn't happen.
A lot of fun things you can do with Batman. A lot of fun. You never really get those tweets from like people who are like, another Superman game, another Batman game. Keep them coming.
Who says that?
Twitter, social media.
Fucking Twitter sucks.
Playdate also
Yeah.
got delayed.
Oh,
just
no!
I got
Oh,
an
you didn't
email
see that
about it
earlier?
today.
I didn't see
Yeah.
that. Oh.
Yeah, they delayed it. It was interesting in the email because they had the first 5,000, they got them in, and then the batteries just like were messed up, didn't work. It was weird. And then
They shipped them back
so they
to Malaysia.
shipped them back. They got different batteries, shipped them back. And then they also found that for later batches of the Playdate, they couldn't get the CPU for 730 or something days. So they redid the board with a different CPU that they could get earlier.
man.
It's crazy. But the cool thing was on the email, they were like, they said which group you were in, and I'm in group 1, so that's
Yay.
cool.
Nice.
I think I'm in group 1 for the Switch Deck or Steam Deck too. So
Yeah, I got a update about our
me
review
too.
console at the same time. Yeah.
yeah.
In group 1 for the Steam Deck, gets the Elden Ring code. Must be nice.
Hey man, sometimes life throws you a bone.
Let's play a game.
Shit.
Life plays a game. Sometimes life finds a way. This is from Sheldon. Many times as of late has the battle cry, games sell better now than ever, echoed through the easy halls.
I mean, Huber.
I've said that a lot. I've said that quite a bit. On the eve of Shin Megami Tensei 5's breakout success for the long-running franchise, it's time to test the truth of that creed with an erratically cherry-picked set of game releases. Did these entries sell more than ever? In some of these instances, I'm speaking to the previous version of that game. They might be like a giant franchise, just that franchise within the bigger franchise. Unless otherwise specified, information is based on NPD data. Persona 5.
Yes.
Oh.
like it's the
What
best
are we trying to
selling.
Best
say?
ever. Best Persona
Best
ever.
Persona. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not
Easily,
Not
yeah.
even a question.
Fastest selling title in series history.
Yeah. Yes.
Package dollar sales are 5 times bigger than the previous franchise best. Atlus's highest-selling title in Japan of all time.
Some people act like Persona 5 was the first JRPG ever invented.
It's true.
I heard the other day that it invented jazz. So
WarioWare Get It Together.
Is that the newest one?
That is the newest one.
It's not.
No.
I
No.
don't think
No,
so.
it's not. It underperformed.
No, the launch month record set by WarioWare Smooth Moves in
Yeah.
January 2007 remains intact.
Yep.
They didn't really
DS.
do much to market Get It Together anyways.
They did not. Get it together.
plus Smooth Moves really kind of leaned into our existing skill base. You know what I mean?
There's
That was you went for it.
New Pokemon Snap, meaning the old Pokemon Snap. Is this the
Oh,
best
yeah,
selling
yeah,
of the
yeah,
snaps?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Wait, it's got to blow it out
For
of the water.
sure.
they put out the
I
report
don't know.
already.
Pokemon Snap at N64 was at kind of like
It's still the N64 compared
They
to the
said
Switch.
That's
that
true.
was in the report.
yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, you're
they
probably
either
right.
made more
I just-
either made more
Pokemon Snap
money or
was very
sold more
big.
units. One or the other.
I'm gonna say yes.
Launch month sales more than doubled those of Snap's
Yeah.
N64 debut back in July 1999. Total number is at 2.19 million copies for the Switch sequel to 3.63 million for the original. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say no.
I gotta say no.
What?
Oh man, that's a hard one.
That is a hard one. That is.
I'm gonna say maybe yes.
I could see 2.
I thought it was in the NPD, and I just forget. But they did make a statement about it, and I just forgot which way it went.
Reached 1 million units sold through faster than any game in franchise history. In the long run, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 racked up sales of 5.3 million units. So it was the fastest in franchise history. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart.
Ooh.
I'd say no.
The only reason I would say no would be because of the availability of the PS5.
Yeah.
I'm gonna think. I would guess. Yeah, it's not either. Probably like one of the PS4 one probably sold better.
Or PS2.
PS2, yeah, PS2 ones.
It dethroned the previous record holder. Ratchet & Clank 2016 is the fastest selling title in the series. Overall, Rift Apart stands at 1.1 million as of July this year and is around 2.9 mil to go before it catches up to Up Your Arsenal and Going Commando,
Okay.
which are both roughly tied. Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time.
No.
It was. I'm gonna say
It's a tough one too.
it was either more faster selling or overall. Oh, but there was the remake one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Insane
Shoot, the
Trilogy.
Crash,
Insane
the
Trilogy.
trilogy.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
the
yeah.
Insane Trilogy did better, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no.
yeah, they're so close in proximity.
Crash 4 debuted at number 11 in the NPD, climbed to number 10 the following month, and Activision published no subsequent sales numbers. Insane Trilogy debuted at number 4, jumped to number 2 in its second month, sold over 10 million copies
That is
total.
such a bummer. Crash 4 is so good.
Counting only the first month, Crash 4 out-earned the trilogy due to the $20 higher price tag, but it
Yeah.
didn't top the classics.
Yeah.
There you go.
Tales of Arise.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is the fastest selling, but I don't know. It has not surpassed Symphonia yet, unless they gave new numbers this month already.
1.5 copies within 7 weeks, but it is it beat the
Only
launch.
1.5 copies.
It beat the
Wow.
launch.
1.5 mil. It
Who
beat the
got that
launch
half
month
copy?
dollar sales of any game in the Tales franchise.
Yeah.
So the first month it beat. But 2.37 is Vesperia and 2.4 is Symphonia. So
Yeah.
still got to catch
a
up.
little whiles ago.
Paper Mario: The Origami King.
I'm going to
gonna say
say
yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
yes. Because
Oddly,
Clutter
yeah.
Splash was no. The only one that had a chance maybe was the portable one.
It's the fastest seller in the franchise. Launch month dollar sales are more than doubled those of the previous best Paper Mario, breaking a 1,000-year doors record. Currently, Origami King is the second best-selling entry in the series at 3.12 million behind Super Paper Mario's 4.23.
The Wii one. That was the one. Yeah.
Wow.
Monster Hunter Stories 2.
Oh, in comparison to Stories 1? Yeah, it sold, yes.
In its launch month alone, it more than tripled the lifetime sales
Yeah.
This
of
was an easy
Monster
one.
Hunter Stories for 3DS.
This was an easy one.
But compared to Monster Hunter, not a chance.
No.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Neo: The World Ends With You.
Yes.
Wait.
Fastest selling, yes.
Oh yeah. That. But didn't one just? There was the.
Yeah.
How are they handling the re-release
it's
version?
multi-platform compared to
Right.
DS.
It's like a caveat. It's kind of muddy. It's like it did, it didn't.
Yeah.
Neo on the Switch plus the PS4 sold about the same amount as the first month as the World Ends With You solely on Nintendo DS. But since the original was a DS game at a DS price point, Neo made twice the sales in dollars.
Okay.
So it's made more money but
That's
not
always
sold
so
more units.
complicated.
Neo 2.
Oh, Neo 2. It's like the Neo, the one that's E2. It's like,
I
wait,
bet.
what? Where was
Oh,
I?
yeah.
I was like, where was I? What happened? What year is this?
I was thinking the same thing. Okay. Yeah. Neo 2. Yes.
I
yeah.
bet it did. Yeah,
Yes.
sold more than one.
Yes.
No.
It didn't.
Neo 2 took longer to reach the 1 million sales milestone than Neo 1. On the whole, it sold 2 million compared to Neo 3's 3 million. Or just Neo's
Dang.
3 million, sorry. Bravely Default 2.
I'm going to say no.
I'm gonna say no.
I'm gonna say yes.
It did not chart, Ben. Like Bravely Default and Bravely Second, it got toward the 1 million threshold, but in comparison, Octopath Traveler sold over 2.5. So, bummer. But I didn't finish it, so I'm to blame. Crusader Kings 3,
Yes.
best-selling release in franchise history.
Yeah, I was
With
gonna
just
say, that
1
one
month
was
of sales.
huge. That one was huge.
Nice.
And finally, Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne.
The HD re-release or the original SMT3 Nocturne?
I think the HD.
I think they specifically mentioned the HD.
Yeah, I'd say.
They didn't say HD in here,
I'd
but
say if you're doing fastest, probably.
Yeah, I would say if you're doing fastest, just because of the availability of the platforms, it's not locked to a system like 4 or 3 originally was.
Yeah, that portable one, I feel like, did it sell a lot?
4?
Because
I don't know.
was there one on DS at all?
Not mainline.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that wouldn't
SMT4 was 3DS, SMT3 was PS2.
I didn't know if they did like a re-release or something.
I'm gonna-
'cause, you know,
so-
like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say with the multi-platform nature, I'd say yes. Although it was way overpriced, so it could be no.
yes, broke over 500K.
Nice.
The original ended its first year on the market at 270K.
Okay.
So, ding. In conclusion, everything sells better today is largely true, but maybe, quote, everything sells faster at a higher price is more hugely true. Go forth and take advantage of those front-loaded sales and that Switch price tag SMT5. Sheldon.
SMT5 is real good.
It is now time for Love and Respect.
Love and respect.
From Platinum Declan, do you ever feel like games go out of their way sometimes to pull you out of the immersion? Or that devs could make their games more immersive by changing some tiny things? I ask because I'm playing Far Cry 6, and I'm really trying to get immersed in this world, but my goodness, does the game go above and beyond in trying to ruin that immersion? Often I'll be walking along, gun holstered, and I'll just get shot at in a non-restricted zone like the whole country knows who Danny is and what she looks like. Or what he looks like. More egregiously, I'm meant to be one of my many freedom fighters according to the narrative. Yet, Danny is more skilled than most and is at the front of things, but not according to the gameplay. I'm Danny the ultra tank super spy marksman. I've never felt such ludonarrative dissonance. One tiny change that could have relieved this would have been to have guerrillas come in to help me fight once the enemy raises the alarm, to at least give the illusion of Danny not being the one-person army. I don't know. Maybe this is just a pet peeve of mine, as I don't see many complaining about it. But does the panel have similar experience of this? And does it annoy the allies as much as it does me? Immersion breaking.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Ubisoft games are pretty bad at this. Like playing Watch Dogs Legion or like Assassin's Creed, well, really any of the recent Assassin's Creeds, and it's like, yeah, here's just this store where you can buy these super gaudy outfits if you want. Like that kind of stuff, it makes it feel like a product and less of like a world with a rich, history that you really want to get absorbed in. But I'm sure there are other examples too.
Yeah, mine's always in RPGs, probably more JRPGs, when there's supposed to be like these big cities with like millions of people living in them. And there's like 10 NPCs in an area. It's like,
Yeah.
It's just like
That's
a
like
bunch
the-
of,
yeah.
it's like 12 people and they're completely stationary. They don't move with a thought bubble above their head.
yeah, and then the older one's like one corridor. It's like supposed to be this big sprawling city. Here's a giant background and here's a corridor. Have fun.
But I can't help but get in the mindset of the Forza Horizon fan, who's like going to Mexico, getting up at 7 a.m. His friend Luke calls him like, "What's up, Luke?" And just like, I say we go over to the street race scene. We just hang out in the crowd and scream for 10 hours straight. Like, sounds good, man. Because some races will take me through like another like headquarters, and I'll go driving through and they're all there screaming like, there's no event right now, but like, they're all there and under hot lights, just like, later, fans.
Well, it's also a music festival, so supposedly
Sure.
something is happening, but it all just seems to be canned music. You don't ever see like a performance. You see a lot of lights.
You see lights, see
but
fireworks.
You don't really see like anyone out there on a stage.
I think I thought of my biggest one. Call of Duty is very bad at this, and I feel like Battlefield campaigns are very bad at this. When like you go 1 centimeter out of the way of where they want you to go, and they're like, "We're gonna kill you unless you get back in this line." You're like, "What?" Or like it when it feels so restrictive, like you can't look around at all. That destroys it.
That's a big one. Yeah, for me, it's like tutorial boxes when they pop up, especially when it's something obvious that you've like already figured out. When they're just like, "Press this to jump." It's like, yeah, I've been jumping. Like, why are you telling me that?
The one that kind of, which is weird because I haven't played the game, so maybe in the game it makes sense. But we that the Tunche game, but them adding the Hat in Time character and being really like aggressive about it and wanting to remind you every chance they get, and I'm like, this character doesn't look like they belong in this game at all. Like, why do you keep bringing it up?
Oh, dude, that reminds me of the greatest immersion-breaking thing of all time, Link's bloody Switch T-shirt.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Get out.
They could have at least ripped it up, made it seem like something you found, right?
Oh God.
Some lost relic of
Yeah.
another
It
world.
haunts me to this day.
That's so funny.
No, one of my favorite things in the world is to bring up a point like this, an immersion breaking thing, to someone who I know loves the franchise I'm also playing, and have them look at me like, "What are you talking about?" You know, just like the thing, it's not real. They're like, "It's a game, man." But you never know when that stuff's gonna bug you. From Brandon K. Gann, recently, buzz terms like NFTs and Metaverse have been floating around, and I feel like they've been passed to the point of being annoying, and to me they appear to be the next fad that will come and go without any significant lasting impact. So much so, I think these concepts will outright fail or be quickly abandoned. Motion controls being a part of 7th gen consoles only to be adopted for VR, which hasn't made as big a splash as champions for the platform have hoped. Rhythm games with peripherals being an even shorter length of time before they're now gone the way of the dinosaur, despite Guitar Hero and Rock Band trying to make a comeback a few years ago. Stadia not clearly establishing what has been the mainstream and thus all but dropped by the ever-finicky Google. And even though some fads have become mainstays, DLC, which was spun off a mutation better known as microtransactions, I see the likes of NFTs and the Metaverse to be the next thing in the long line of things trying to make an impact, but ultimately are a colossal waste of time. And these things the next fad we'll have moved on from in a couple years' time? Or are they here to stay, and what other fads can you think of that have not stood the test of time?
So.
I think the Metaverse is still going to be around because it's like here.
The Metaverse is
they're trying it.
Undefinable.
Right, they're
that
trying
Yeah,
it.
the Metaverse is harder to comment on because, like, in an abstract sense, the digitalization of life will continue, right? So like in an abstract
That's a good shirt.
Yeah, like I don't think the concept will go away. I don't know how well Facebook will implement it or what its success will be. But NFTs are just a giant grift that I think everybody sees as a grift and is rightfully annoyed at.
Well, and they're like, to my understanding, very bad for the environment.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
Bitcoin,
All
crypto,
crypto,
NFT
yeah.
is basically pretty evil, and like don't be involved in it.
The thing is you know, I know there are people out there that back NFTs and they're talking about the future, but it's like, but what is it? What is it actually good for? It's like it's a technology that exists for the sake of who knows what.
Making money.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like that's.
I mean, people like the concept of ownership. You know, like
Yeah.
they want to be able to say, like, "Well, I really own that meme or whatever," you know. And it's like I have the non-fungible token to prove
and
it.
those people suck.
Yeah.
Or those people are only impressing other NFT owners.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. It's like the people that are in care and nobody else does, and meanwhile, you know, because of the way it works, just like artists are having to like hide their art because it's just getting stolen to have an NFT applied to it. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's like the thing. It's like I feel like the spirit of art and creation is supposed to be that eventually, yeah, sure, profit off of it for a certain time, but eventually it becomes part of culture, or if it's good enough, if it's deemed worthy enough, it becomes a culture or pop culture. And trying to further, I thought copyright was as far as like the bastardization of like that concept would go, and now NFTs come out. It's like we want to claim memes and shit. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? I was like,
are you effing kidding?
I was like, no, it's not like that's just bad for the environment. It's like I think it's like very detrimental to creativity and to the spirit of like how things should be propagated into culture. So like the environment stuff just further enhances like why I hate it and stuff. But it's like on a concept level, like it's trash. Like I think it just needs to like get it. Like hopefully it goes away very soon and doesn't come back. Metaverse thing is like whatever. Like same with you, Ben. Like I don't know what like cool. Like it'll probably happen someday and like. I just want.
It's
I don't
Second
think,
Life. It's PlayStation Home. It's
like they're already.
So many,
there's things that exist. I think any individual, even a company as big as Facebook, trying to do it. Like I think it's just gonna happen eventually through other means. Like it's just like when people try and make something this is it. It's happening. We're gonna force it. You can't do that.
Like Smash Brothers is kind of a metaverse. They just don't call it that. You know, they're just they're like, hey, we're just making deals and making a fun game you can play.
Facebook is just trying to do what's going to happen in 6 or 7 years. Regardless, I was just reading a book called 12 Bytes by Jeanette Winterson. I highly recommend it. It's really good. It's about AI and our futures and where we might be going. But like, connectivity is only going to increase. Technology is growing exponentially, right? Like the first home pocket radio had 6 transistors in it. Your phone has like 10 billion. And like, you know, that's 50 years or whatever. And so like the Internet of Things, like connectivity, like it's going to happen. And they're just trying to be the first ones to commodify it so they can sell it. It's like Stadia, just they're trying to do it but too early. Like it's going to happen eventually. They just want to be the ones to brand it and monetize it.
It's one of those things that's ridiculous until it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I think that we're like 3 big breakthroughs away from having Zoom be VR instead of Zoom because like I think Blood, you said this the other day, like it's cool, but nobody wants to put on an Oculus Quest 2 and wear it all day for school or meetings. Like, you don't want to do that. It sucks.
But I think the important thing to note in addition to that is that breakthroughs are happening more and more quickly.
Yes, yeah. Exponential speed. Yeah. Growth. Yeah.
I have my doubts that anyone will create something that's encompassing enough for it to be like the place everybody wants to be.
Oh, exactly.
There's just so many options. People prefer to have options.
The internet, like what it is now, like you could say you cite someone as being like the creator or whatever, but what the internet is now is like was not just one person. It's like that's what will be like the metaverse. There'll be a contribution of so many things that have happened, that have naturally transpired, and you nailed it, Ben. Like it's absurd to think about now because like it seems so unimaginable. But like when it is, if we're not even alive for it when it happens, but whoever's alive, it's gonna be normal. Yeah. It's gonna be like commonplace and accepted. It's just that's why I think it's so weird for someone to try and jump in. I understand why they're doing it because they live in a country that like they're their business. They want to make money. They want to capitalize on it. And it's commercialism, so we got to do it. And they don't do it. Someone else is gonna try it. But like I'm just glad they're doing it now and they're gonna fail. And it's like, all right, no one else is gonna do this now until it naturally happens.
But in a way, I feel like NFTs and the metaverse kind of go hand in hand because, like, hypothetically, if you think about the metaverse, like, if we do eventually reach a point where we we live digitally, essentially, like, how does commerce and trade and ownership work in a purely digital world? Like, that stuff is going to have to be ironed out.
I mean, what's crazy is we effectively already do, right? Like we're all on our computers all the time. Like we use our bodies less and less. Like it's just a matter of the way we're visualizing it.
To me, though, even saying we're on our computers all the time, it's like no, most people are on their phones.
Well, yeah, phone, computer, whatever.
That's the thing that's weird to me about it is because people want to be connected, but they don't want to disconnect from reality. And so I think that's the struggle that VR has is like, hey, it's really cool to be in this space, but I can't tell what my dog is doing right now.
I mean,
you bring your dog with you into the metaverse.
The other thing about ownership, though, is like, this flies in the face of like when a digital space is supposed to be potentially infinite. Like you're not beholden by resources. Like in reality, I don't need lumber to build a house or brick and mortar. Just digitally create it, and it's like, oh, who owns it? Like, who cares? Make another. Like, just make another. Like, it is. I understand for certain things that might like for unique creations. Like, I was the one who created this thing, but how do you prove it in digital? That I think is justified. But I see this spiraling into like something that will be terribly bastardized and like corrupted and be used once again to place another system on people where it's like, they're the have-nots and the haves again, and like that does in a digital space that like absolutely does not need to exist. The thing about like defeating scarcity, it's like it doesn't exist there. Like this shouldn't even be an issue.
But exactly, 100%. Like it should be this utopian thing where certain limitations or just like systems of division should not be in place. But the people that have the power to make this a reality are the ones that are going to be dividing up the pie. Like before you even step foot in it, like you are going to be subjected to whatever systems they put in place. Like you're not going to,
I hope they have like gamer score shit. Those type of people like I've got like it's like your currency. It's like, dude, I'm max. What's your score? It's like
well, I mean, China is already doing that with the social basically credit score.
Yeah,
and like
they're doing that in
it's
reality.
Like, they're doing that in reality. It's like Nosedive from Black Mirror, but real.
That's why like speed runs and world firsts and MMOs. It's like it's done. History's made. You know, there's no you can't go back on that. Well, but world's first though. You know, first person, finish a dungeon. True. You were the first. From Keaton, Shin Megami Tensei 5 comes out this week, and as a fan of the series, I wonder why they stuck with calling it Shin Megami Tensei in the West. Anytime someone asks me what games I'm looking forward to, I say the words Shin Megami Tensei, and am usually met with confused looks and reactions ranging from "what did you say?" to "how do you spell that?" It's a very superficial thing, I know. There are many other reasons why the series could not have taken off, but part of me wonders just how much more success could these games have with a different name? How much impact do you think localizing game titles actually has on sales? Are there any other games or series you think would have had very different sales numbers if their titles weren't localized?
Let me tell you, as somebody who's very deep into Shin Megami Tensei 5, that fits the whole identity of the game is that it is not approachable. Like this is a game that is very aggressively not trying to appeal to everyone, and I think that is because it has an audience, right, that appreciates what it's doing, not only from a gameplay perspective, but like the identity that it has is just so incredibly Japanese. Like you dig into the mythology of all the demons and the whole like infrastructure that they have. I mean, it relies heavily on Japanese mythology, and it wears that very, very, very proudly. And so I think to westernize that, you really change the essence of what the series in the game is about in a way that I think would probably just piss off the core audience.
Yeah, I was just going to agree with you because even though I've technically not played through any of the mainline SMT games, I did, was it the Raido Kuza, the spin-off ones that were set like in the past, like the early like 20th century. Like the first one I played for that on PS2, yeah, it was like very hard to approach that type of game.
Right.
Because it was like, we're not going to pander to a Western audience, and we're not even going to make it easy for you to get into this. Right. You need to adjust to what our vernacular, you need to adjust to our terminology, and basically just get acclimated to Japanese culture, like make an effort to like this. And it was, a bit of a barrier at first, and I can see why people are hesitant. So yeah, I like. But it was so unique feeling, and like I don't know how you would make that more accessible. Like I just don't know how you like do that other than like you change what. Like I understand what you're saying, like on a personal level, because you would change the identity of that game. It wouldn't be the same game anymore.
Yeah, but here's like the huge shift that Atlas has undergone. I would say from the PS2 days to now is they can kind of have their cake and eat it too, whereas Persona has become so accessible and so mainstream that they've been able to spin that off into a billion different things. It's like, here's the Persona fighting game, here's the anime, here's the dancing game, here's the Muso game, right? Where they can kind of have that thing that does reach a wider audience and can be done for all of these things. And so when they have more of those core audiences for something like mainline SMT or another spin-off that they have, they don't have to make those compromises.
In terms of naming conventions, though, because like Persona is just like such a catchy, easy to remember name.
Right.
Do you think maybe...
Which it used to be Shin Megami Tensei Persona,
Yeah.
and
Right.
now
Yeah,
it's just
they
Persona.
dropped that.
Yeah.
So even with Shin Megami Tensei, don't fans abbreviate? Is it what Megaten or is there?
Well, before Shin Megami Tensei,
Okay.
there was Megami Tensei.
Okay, I don't know if there's like a shorthand version they could use that would be like one word that might like make it more recognizable somehow. I don't know, because like I think Shin Megami Tensei is fine and it's pretty unique. I mean, and it's not hard to say SMT. There aren't like a lot of things out there SMT, but maybe it would help a little bit if they came up with like a one-word name or something. I don't know, like if that would really help or not.
I think it's an interesting thing to think about, but I would also argue that what has happened in recent years, right? When I think about my experience with anime growing up, right, talking to other people who are interested in anime, unless you're talking to like, you know, the absolute like most hardcore of hardcore, like people wouldn't say the Japanese name for an anime. It would just be whatever the westernized name was. But you know, now when you talk to people about anime, I feel like there's a 50-50 chance they'll say the Japanese name or the Western name. And that is because just awareness of just Japanese culture, I think, has been dispersed a lot more effectively. And I think people have access to more information. And so I don't think these things that seem inaccessible on the surface are as inaccessible as they used to be. I think there are plenty of resources. Like if you want to get into SMT, you want to understand what it is, a couple of YouTube videos later and you're like, okay, I got it. You know, I don't think it is this gigantic barrier.
Still interesting though. Judge Eyes versus Judgment, you know, Biohazard and Resident Evil, like they still have that split.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it comes down to is, you know, something as simple as like, does this sound weird or does this sound silly? You know, like, what does Megami Tensei translate to? Do you have any idea off the top of your head?
I've looked it up multiple times, but I cannot think of it. Like,
no, Shin is new, basically. Yeah.
it's like
New goddess reincarnated.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, new goddess reincarnated.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Isla with the Japanese save again.
I'm fluent in every language when I'm sitting at a
camera's
computer.
When you're in the metaverse.
Yeah, when I'm strapped in.
Honestly, like being a fan of Shin Megami Tensei, and I talk about this on Frame Trap, like even I'm amazed at the route SMT5 is going down. Like it is so hardcore in a way that it's just like delicious, and like so many other lesser, shittier companies would have diluted that game and made it, you know, I think, quote unquote, more accessible to the detriment of quality.
It's time for bets. Next week's bet, Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 launches on Tuesday, November 16th. 2 days later, we'll be recording this podcast. On that Thursday, I'm going to look at the last 10 reviews for that game on OpenCritic. How many times will I see the word clue? Michael Damiani.
10.
10. Okay, one each. Okay. Ben.
4.
4. Oh. Isla.
3.
3. Going in blood.
2.
9.
Damn it.
Okay. Well, 21. I went big. Yeah. I don't know. I always count on that one person, that one bad
one
writer.
person.
That one bad writer. I'm
I
looking
mean,
at
they
you.
have
The
like
one
totally
bad writer.
stomped us sometimes just before you get to the third review.
I mean, it's possible there could be a mechanic like called like the clue system or whatever. Yeah. so-
Right.
You never know.
This week's bet. Today, Daniel Bloodworth raced online in Forza Horizon 5.
And what?
He was supposed to lose.
He was supposed to.
It was
lose.
in the text of the bet. I told him this when he started racing. Look at the smile on his face right now. Listeners, if you cannot see this podcast, blood doesn't lose. It's like Tommy Lee Jones, the
Blood on the
fugitive.
tracks.
I don't bargain. Blood won that. So I guess second place would be the person that we were looking for. I want to know how many characters would be in the gamer tag of that race's winner. Second place is the best we're going to do. It was an online race. We did not know who this profile would be. Michael Damiani bet 12 characters. Isla Hink bet 9. Bloodworth bet 11. I bet 10. 12 was the most. It was 8 characters. What was it? Nako Wako or something? I don't know. It was 8. It There's
Now I
two
wanna
names.
change my gamer tag to
Nano,
Wacko
Nano,
Wacko.
Nano, Bako.
The
I don't know.
question
It's
was
a-
whether the space counts because
it's-
that
yeah.
is
Well, if it's
arguably a character.
if
in
there's
that
no
count.
space, it's 8. If there is a space, it's
Yeah.
9. Both of those give Isla Hink the win, bringing our scores to Jovial Penguins 28. Vociferous Beavers 21.
Nom, 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 nom.
That's got to be a loss. We got like what, 6 podcasts left? I don't know.
Yeah, you'll have to count it up, see if it's time for.
I think it might have to be
Wars.
Order Wars next week. Gulp. Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies. Patreon.com/easyallies is the bleeding, beating heart of Easy Allies. It is the core. Yes, yes, yes. We have viewership all over the place. Yes, yes. We make money through ads and stuff like that. You may or may not have heard the ads during this podcast, but patreon.com/easyallies is primarily where we are funded. It's where a lot of our people go to check out on the stuff that we are doing every single day. If you just listen to this podcast, you can get it early, and you can also check out all of the stuff after we have done it, before we're doing it, when we were planning it. A lot of Q&A portions to our shows. Lots of ways you can engage with our community and us, the Easy Allies, on Patreon and support us financially, and we would greatly appreciate that. These people supported us at the highest tier available, our shout-out tier, and we're going to shout them out right now. Shout out to L. Thanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Caleb Togi Crawford, and Nick. Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Isla, you get to promote any Easy Allies video you'd like to promote. You get the final word on anything you disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped into your head. And you get to sign off with your trademark sign-off. Congratulations.
Thank you. Video to promote. Well, I usually promote Mysterious Mouse. Oh no, I'll do the community showcase. I was just on that. And our community is so talented, and they submit so many amazing things. And it's always such a joy to be on that. So check that out. It's on Easy Allies Plays, I think.
No, it's
Nope,
on the main
showcase
channel.
goes up on our main channel,
Okay,
yeah.
main channel. Don't think I disagree. NFTs are bad for the environment, y'all. Don't do it. Don't do Bitcoin. Don't do crypto. It's dumb, and it burns down trees. It's bad because of power usage. Whatever. Okay. Good night and good game. New goddess reincarnated.
Digitalization of life will continue.
We've got a hat sandwich over here.
Your first soldier, man.
All right, but you're not winning this. Gotta ease down. Gotta ease down. Okay. There we go. That's our list. Online does not fly by, that is for sure.
No, takes forever.
Once you're in it, it's not that bad going from event to event, but yeah, getting in the first event.
I've had some really long waits between events. Oh, I didn't change any assists either. I'm definitely not going to be winning this event.
It's the best feeling, just getting the edge of a checkpoint. Just
Yeah. just a little tap.
It's like Brown Persuasion is going to be the one taking it.
Maybe.
Still got 2 lives. Anything could happen.
Yeah, so this is kind of the trick. You kind of like max out the stats to stay in the class.
Although Brown Persuasion does not look like he's going to mess up. He's following the line very cleanly. Closing the gap. Closing the gap. Getting him on the turns, I like it. Is he braking too hard?
Or not hard enough.
You're losing this race, Blood.
Hey, there's still another lap, right?
No, it's just
No, you are rapidly approaching the finish line.
Don't choke, Blood.
It is the nature of the bet.
Well, you said you could take second if I won.
I don't even care about the bet. I just want Blood to win. Oh,
There it is.
he's got it.
Oh, but somebody else is coming in second now.
That little stutter at the end. Man.
Yeah, I've seen that a few times. We'll get a leaderboard.
What if instead of shooting the podcast, we just play Forza?
Rowan Coco. Does the space count? That's going to be a question.
No, it's not a character.
Okay.
You know, there's an underscore. That's a character. All right, you're bending the rules because you were supposed to lose, but this man cannot lose.